Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Geeks Are Sexy. I'm Jason LeDuc from Evil Genius Leadership Consultants. It's the fourth Thursday of the month. Actually, I think it's the fifth Thursday of this month, isn't it? I'm not sure what it is, but the last Thursday of the month, I always take over from Michelle Davis for the Geeks Are Sexy show, and we talk about business and success and how to be successful here in Las Vegas and beyond. We're going to jump right into today. Our first guest is Michelle Leaf from Planet Home Lending. Congratulations. That's a relatively new move for you. You were somewhere else before, right?
Yes, it is. I've been with Planet now for about a month and a half.
Okay, so very new.
Very new. And they're new to Las Vegas, so we're entering the market here in Las Vegas to help serve our community with mortgage lending and financing for their real estate purchases.
Yeah, so Michelle is a mortgage loan originator with Planet Home Lending. As she said, they're new to Las Vegas, and they are making a big impact helping people get into their own homes here in Las Vegas. We got hit so hard by the recession back in 2007, 2008. A lot of people in the Las Vegas area moved out of their own homes and into rentals, or when they moved to Vegas were into rentals. And really that's what you're trying to do, is help people get into those homes of their very own at Planet Home Lending, correct?
Absolutely. We like to work with our first-time home buyers, repeat buyers, military buyers, anyone who has a desire to own their own home. That's who we want to work with, and you know, get them to their American dream.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about, and that's what this show is all about, is how do you take those steps? How do we learn from people like you so that we can all go get into our own home, go have our own successful business, have our own successful careers. So tell us all about Planet Home Lending. What brought Planet Home Lending to Vegas? What makes Planet Home Lending unique with all the other mortgage lenders out there?
Well, Planet Home Lending was founded in 2007. We are a privately held residential mortgage banker, and currently we service about $12 billion in mortgages, as well as originate about $4 billion annually.
Okay.
So what makes us unique is more than likely, when you close your loan with us, we will also be servicing your loan. So you'll be making your payments to us, and that's usually that's unique in the sense that a lot of mortgage companies sell their loans immediately, and so you may close with them, and then 2 months later you're making your payment somewhere else.
Now tell us why that's important, that you'd want your loan serviced, especially initially, with the company you made the loan with versus having it sold somewhere else.
I think it just gives them a comfort level. You know, you've been working with the company for, you know, anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. You know your loan officer. They can still help you if they have a question on the back end after if it closes. They have a servicing question, and that loan officer can direct them to the right sources. So I think that makes a comfort level, and there's no confusion as to, wait a minute, I closed with this company, now I'm paying that company. There's no confusion. Absolutely.
I've been through that a couple of times with my loan. I bought my house here in Las Vegas back in 2002, and so I've been through that a couple of times, and it's okay. It hasn't been a big deal, but every couple of years when that changes over, I do all my mortgage payments through an automatic bill pay, so that the first money, as the money comes in at the end of the month, the first money that goes out is my mortgage, so I know I've got a place to live, right?
Right.
I can't go spend my mortgage money, out of the casino or anything like that.
Right.
So, but even then, even if it's completely benign and there isn't a whole lot of hassle with it, you still got to go in and change that address, change that phone number for your automatic bill pay. So even in the most benign situations, that's something you've always got to watch out for if you've got a mortgage, is have they sold that to someone else? And if you don't keep track of that, if you don't pay attention when that letter comes in, you might find that your mortgage didn't get paid last month.
Right, because it still may be going to the original mortgage and lender, and not the new person who's taking care of it. So then it looks like there's a delay. You know, there are laws in place to, if you did make the payment to the wrong place, that they are supposed to forward the payment, so it shouldn't affect your credit. But it's still kind of, a little bit, work involved. You got to be paying attention to what you're doing and your finances.
And it's stuff you'd rather not be doing. You'd rather be spending your time doing something else. So
absolutely.
And that's great information, especially for a new home buyer, that they will be dealing with you for the foreseeable future, not dealing with you and then automatically having to deal with somebody else.
Exactly.
So what are some other things, especially for first-time home buyers, what should people be thinking about before they go out and start looking at buying a home? Before they even go look at houses?
Okay, first off, I think it's really important that they become emotionally ready.
Okay.
Sometimes they think, okay, I can just go out and look at houses and get my financing and everything, but they're not emotionally prepared. It is a process, and it's usually a new process, so they don't understand the do's and the don'ts and all of that stuff. So they have to realize that it is going to be a process, and there's going to be ups and downs. You put in that offer, you found that great house, and all of a sudden you're like, oh well, I can't afford that house, or the seller didn't accept the offer. So you have to be emotionally ready. And then the second most important thing is to go and meet with your lender, because the worst thing that could happen is that you're looking online, you find your dream home, and you can't qualify for your dream home. So you really want to do that, because once you're qualified, you know what your budget is, then you can stay within those parameters, so you don't get your heart broken. And then secondly, if you can't qualify at that time, you know, there are some things that your lender can advise you to do to get onto a blind plan, so that in the foreseeable future you should be able to qualify.
So a couple things to emotionally prepare yourself. One, if you don't get the house you're looking for, there'll be another one. It's okay, trust me. And then two, there may be some things you need to do, some steps you need to take to really get yourself in a credit situation to get that house that you want to get, and that you don't have to settle for something that isn't going to meet your needs. And people like Michelle can help you with that, but you've got to go see them early. So how soon, let's say I'm thinking about buying a home. I'm thinking about doing that sometime in 2019. How far before I start looking at homes should I come to see you, since you know nothing about my credit situation or anything like that?
Right. Well, now would be a good time because the market's a little bit slow. People tend to get busy, but at the same time, you want to have everything prepared. And sometimes it takes longer. You know, now's a good time, because if you are holiday shopping and you charge up those credit cards and max them out, that's going to impact your credit score.
For sure.
So if you get that kind of advice ahead of time, you'll know, okay, I should stop here, and so forth, and really be prepared. And then you can adjust your budgets for your holiday budgets and in gifts into your home budget, you know, because that'll be long term. That is your future. The holiday is just for this year. So that's kind of where you should start, at least a couple months ahead of time, so that you know where you're headed and what you need to do.
And then it comes back to something we always talk about in this show, is having a plan, and you've got to have a plan before you can deviate from it. So besides having a certain amount of cash on hand, and we'll get to what we think that cash amount is for a new home buyer, what are some other elements people should be thinking about in their financial plan before they even start looking at homes? What are some of the factors they should be considering building this financial plan to go buy a home?
The thing that I use is, it's in the mortgage industry, it's called the 4 C's. Capability, credit, cash, and collateral. The capability is your employment. How long have you worked there? Lenders like to see 24 months of continuous employment. Doesn't necessarily need to be with the same employer. However, it does need to be consistent employment. The next one is obviously credit. What are your credit scores? Do we need to work on them? Do we need to increase them? Do we need to establish a credit score? You know, most lenders require at least 2 credit scores to get a mortgage. The third C is cash. Do you have the cash to close the transaction? You know, you're going to have upfront fees, your earnest money deposit, appraisal fees, home inspection fees that come right off the top at the beginning once you go to contract. And the lastly is collateral. What kind of property are you going to buy? Is this going to be a primary residence or investment residence, a single family dwelling, or a condo or townhome? So that also impacts the plan that you put in place to purchase a home.
Awesome. So we're getting close to the end. I want to give you plenty of time to tell our guests how they can find you and work with you if they're interested in catching up with you or even just getting some advice. But what are some of the gotchas that new home buyers run into, besides what we've already talked about? What are some of the gotchas that they run into that we can help people avoid if they're thinking about buying a home in 2019?
First thing, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, is not to max out your credit cards. Credit bureaus look at the percentage of available credit as well as the amount of credit that is used. We like to see about 33% used up as opposed to available credit. Another thing is the gotchas is, well, I pay cash for everything. While noble that you pay cash for everything, we do need lines of credit, and we need to see how you pay that credit. So if you don't have any trade lines on your credit report, it's a good time to establish them, because we like to see at least a 12 to 24 month payment history.
How can someone who has been really conscientious about their money and paid cash for everything, how can they go establish some lines of credit in a smart way, but in a way, in a quick way too, so to help you out as you start looking at their loan?
Well, it depends on each borrower. A lot of times I recommend that they go get a secured credit card with their bank is one of the first ways. Another way is if you just got a Visa or MasterCard or Discover, what we're looking for is how you pay. So if you don't want to run up credit card debt, what I do advise is, go out, charge a tank of gas, and pay it off.
That was what they always told us about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, was just go get a credit card with a small limit and just buy your gas on it and pay it off every month.
Right, and because everybody needs gas, and you're either paying it cash or credit. So that way you establish how you pay, and that's the critical thing, how you make your payments on time. So.
Well, that's great. So real quick, tell us what kind of loan programs, or what are your most common programs you're offering at Planet Home Lending?
We're residential mortgage lenders, so we offer FHA, VA, conventional loans. We also do jumbo loans. We're going into the renovation loan market, and we also offer down payment assistance programs.
Okay, great. And in addition to what you offer, who are you trying to connect with? What are some businesses or some people you're trying to connect with out there for Planet Home Lending?
Well, I'm looking for new borrowers, first-time home borrowers. I'm also looking for people to connect with in the real estate industries, people in finance industries, as to be a resource for them. Okay. Because the borrower is our primary business, but I need to connect with other people and help them get achieve their goals as well.
Awesome.
And then we just feedback, and provide good service to each other.
Awesome. All right, so look right in that camera and tell our audience how they can reach you, Michelle Leaf.
They can reach me at Planet Home Lending. My direct number is 702-767-8174, or they can shoot me an email at mleaf@planethomelending.com.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure to have you. We're going to have Michelle back for our panel discussion. Our next guest is going to be Jenny Fay from Cupcake Girls. Can't wait to talk to her about the great work that nonprofit is doing here in town in Las Vegas, and actually all over the whole West Coast. I'm Jason LeDuc from Evil Genius Leadership Consultants. This is Geeks Are Sexy. We will be right back with Jenny Fay from Cupcake Girls.
Gene Woods Racing Experience, named for the racing veteran and 3-time champion, packs big racing action into extremely fast, high-performance karts that let you battle the other competitors side by side, just inches off the ground. Though the Las Vegas Strip provides a glittering backdrop, to the drivers at Gene Woods Racing Experience, the blinking lights are all a blur. Behind the wheel of the high-performance karts, you'll zip around the half-mile track at speeds faster than other standard racing karts' top speeds. Drivers learn to commandeer the speedy karts through an instructional video before they are let loose onto the curving track for 10 heart-pounding laps. We are located at 121 East Sunset Boulevard in Las Vegas, Nevada.
You know what? It's time to go racing. Let's get her done!
Hi, I'm Daylin Woods. Welcome to Woods Family Sandwiches. I've always had a passion for food. When I lived in England, I owned my own restaurant. Then when we moved back to the United States, an opportunity came to open a sandwich shop, and I just wanted to get back into it. We have here at Woods Family Sandwiches wraps as well as salads and soups. We offer only the finest ingredients to our customers. We have boar's head meats and cheeses. We have fresh bread, fresh produce, great soups daily that we prepare for our customers, kosher whole pickles, Deep River Kettle One chips. We have a variety of wraps, or you can make any sub a wrap, any sub a salad. Come on in for our daily specials. We are located at 931 American Pacific, number 106, Henderson, or call us for your deliveries or pickups at 702-826-2230. Here at Woods Family Sandwiches, we're family owned and operated.
We are looking forward to seeing you.
All right, welcome back to Geeks Are Sexy. I'm Jason LeDuc. It's the fourth Thursday, or the fifth Thursday. It's the last Thursday of the month. I don't remember what we did. Thanksgiving was a week ago. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I had a fantastic Thanksgiving.
That's awesome. Thanksgiving here in Las Vegas is one of my favorite times, and it's just such a great weather and such an easy way to do Thanksgiving here, especially if you don't want to cook or clean or anything like that. You have a lot of options here. So I am here with Jenny Fay from Cupcake Girls.
Yes.
You're the Las Vegas City Director for Cupcake Girls, and what Cupcake Girls do is they provide confidential support to those involved in the sex industry, as well as those affected by domestic sex trafficking through holistic resources, case management, and aftercare. And I'm going to let you describe what all those things really mean.
That sounds good.
They provide non-judgmental support, and that's really the part that I find so compelling about what it is you do, is that there's no judgment associated with how you found them, what you're doing now, what you intend to be doing in the future. They're just there to help you with with the things they can help you with and what you need right now, regardless of what you're doing right now. And I think that's so great, because that's not how a lot of people, not how a lot of groups that are trying to help people work. And your key tenets are respect, resources, and relationships. Well, welcome, Jenny. Thank you for being here. Tell us about Cupcake Girls and how it got started in Las Vegas.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. So Cupcake Girls has existed officially for almost 8 years now. We started as a 501c3 in 2011, but the story starts before then. So in about 2009, Joy Hoover, our founder and president, she and her husband, they were living in Michigan. But they came to Vegas on vacation, and they have a huge heart for people in general, but especially for marginalized communities. So even when they were here on vacation, they couldn't help but look around and see who's being left out. And it became very clear to them, people in the adult industry in Las Vegas are very left out, really not having access to some basic resources, and pushed aside a lot. So they experienced this and then kind of went home and just couldn't shake it. And so about 3 months later, they looked at each other and said, we have to do something. They sold pretty much everything that they owned. They moved to Las Vegas, and Joy said they lived on people's couches. They ate lots of ramen noodles, and they spent about a year just trying to get to know the adult industry and get to know who the people were and what the people wanted and needed, instead of coming in and saying, here's what we think you need, but just to listen well. So she did this by taking cupcakes into the strip clubs and legal brothels, and on one of the early visits, when she was bringing the cupcakes in, she said some of the dancers looked over and said, our Cupcake Girls are here. So Joy was like, well, I guess we're the Cupcake Girls. So then by early 2011, like I said, we got our 501c3, and by late 2011, we actually opened our branch in Portland.
Okay.
So that's kind of the story of how we came to be.
I imagine that took a long time, and was could have been very frustrating for Joy, building that trust with the adult entertainment community, sex worker community here in town. It's not known for being a very trusting community, and kind of rightly so, right?
Yeah, definitely. So consistency was key for us, just to keep showing up.
And still is. And you continue to do that 7 years, 8 years later, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get involved?
So I got involved because I've been involved for about a year, and for several years I've just had this growing passion in my heart to equip and empower women, and I didn't really know how that would play out in my life. I kind of tried things here and there, and then about a year ago, I sensed maybe a new horizon coming for me, and I was talking with one of my friends, and we had a mutual friend who volunteered with the Cupcake Girls.
Okay.
So my friend just said, I think you would love working with the Cupcake Girls. I think it would be a great fit for you. And so that started the conversation, and within my first conversation with Joy, oh my goodness, I was so enthralled by the mission, by her passion for it. And then even just as I shared about who I was and what they needed, it seemed like it was going to be a great match, and it has been a really good match where I felt like I could contribute well, but also where I felt like I was being fulfilled as I did that.
I feel like that's something that you do well, and maybe that's some of the secret sauce that Joy has, because I haven't met her in person, but I've had a few emails with her, but I've met a few of the folks working in the volunteer positions and in the office themselves, and you seem to have this sixth sense about this is the right person for us, and this sixth sense about this is the place I need to be, and I think that's so cool that you're able to build those bonds so quickly. So tell us about the approach that Cupcake Girls takes, because it is a little, as we mentioned, it's a little bit different in the organization to help this community.
Yes.
Are not necessarily as low judgment or no judgment as you are. So tell us about your approach to helping this community.
So our number one core value is we love without agenda. So we don't come in and say, I love you if, I love you when. We just come in and say, I love you and want to help in any way that would be helpful. So we have 3 main programs in our direct care branch, which is our branch that works directly with our clients. The first one is our outreach program. So every month we still take cupcakes into the strip clubs and legal brothels in hot pink boxes. And we take our resource cards that just tell who we are and resources that we offer. And our hope is we start the conversation. It's a really good icebreaker, and it lets people know we exist. And like I said, we're here and we want to help if ever our help is needed or wanted. And then our other 2 programs come into play once a client reaches out to us. We have our referral program and our intensive case management program. So our referral program is when a client maybe reaches out and just has one specific need, like I just need help getting to a dentist, or I just need help on my taxes. Somebody who's going to understand, how all the laws work and not going to judge me when they find out what I do.
And not going to rip me off because I might be paying them in cash, right?
Right. So all those things, that's a referral where we can refer them to one of our vetted partners or resources, and then follow up with them in about a week and see, how you doing? Do you need anything else? Our intensive case management program is for our clients who they want to meet with their advocate weekly. So then together, they're going to build a plan for how that client can get where they want to go. And so we use an empowerment model. We don't tell people what to do. We try to listen well, ask good questions, and really hear, what does this person want, where do they want to go, and what tools do we have that we can put in their hands that we can offer. And then if the client wants to take those resources, cool, and if not, cool. They're grown-ups, and it's up to them what they do or don't want to do.
It really does sound, not to be little, but a phrase we used to use in the Air Force, big boys and girls time, right? You know what it is where you want to get to. Here's how I can help you. If you don't want to do this today, we'll be here. If you want to come, if you don't want to do this and you want to come back in 3 months, we'll still be here.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. Human trafficking.
Yeah.
That is something you guys are.
Yes.
I mean, this is kind of where this all started, really. It has a higher level of consciousness now in the United States than I think it did, but I think when people think of human trafficking, they think of things that are going on overseas. They think of things happening in Africa and Asia and Eastern Europe and that kind of thing. Can you tell us more about how human trafficking happens close to home?
Yes.
And what we could or should all be looking for? What are some indicators we could be looking for, especially here in Las Vegas?
So I was, before I started working with the Cupcake Girls, probably like the general public, and when I thought of human trafficking, I thought of like some really extreme movie that I had seen. And
that's like Liam Neeson, right?
Yes. And you don't really see that. I don't see that in my neighborhood, so trafficking doesn't happen here. What I realized was, yes, the Liam Neeson kind of trafficking, that's a reality in our world, and it's not okay. We provide aftercare for survivors of that as well. But what we're seeing more and more is what's being called domestic sex trafficking. That's trafficking that's happening within the United States, within Las Vegas, within our neighborhoods. And so trafficking is, especially sex trafficking, anyone who is in the adult industry under coercion, deception, manipulation, threat, and they're not in control of their wages. So anyone in a pimp situation is in a trafficking situation because they are not fully in control of the choices happening around them. They're not fully in control of their wages. So what we're seeing with that is a lot of nuances with trafficking. For instance, we had a client come to us recently, and she gave us permission to share this part of her story, but she had been trafficked for 20 years, and she didn't realize it, because there was such extreme manipulation happening. So she didn't fully compute. She just thought the guy that she was with was a sociopath. She didn't understand all that was happening.
Well, maybe, right?
Yeah, and maybe, I think he is. But also there's more to it. She said even at the airport, those signs in the bathroom stalls about trafficking, she said she would see those signs and think to herself, those poor girls. Not ever thinking that she was in that situation, because for her, she wasn't being physically abused. And in her mind, that was what meant someone was being trafficked.
You were chained to a radiator somewhere,
yes.
right?
She was experiencing every other kind of abuse.
Well, and let's talk about that, because this can be really insidious. It can be as insidious as some of these women or men are getting paid for what they do, and the second they're done, they're handing that money to somebody else.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm not advocating anybody breaking any laws. I'm just, but I mean, it could be as insidious as that. Is that's the setup, right? And they're trained that that's the setup.
Yeah.
And so what are some of those really insidious things that we could or should be looking out for?
So we're starting to see maybe 3 main types of traffickers. Like I said, it's really nuanced, but you can kind of think in terms of 3 different types. And one type is what's called the guerrilla pimp or trafficker. And that's probably what most people think of when they think of a pimp. Someone who has multiple people, typically women, that they keep in submission by physical violence and force and threats like that. So to be on the lookout, that's a little bit easier to recognize, and typically people in that situation know that that is not a healthy situation and would like to be out of it, but are often fearful as to how to get out of it. But another thing that we're seeing is what's called a Romeo pimp. This is someone who often poses as a boyfriend or a girlfriend. We do tend to see it more a guy and a girl type of situation. So a boyfriend maybe who gives lots of gifts. It's a really sudden and intense relationship where this guy just really takes care of this girl, and then something turns. Maybe he says, well, I take care of you, so now you need to take care of me and my friends, or they have this fine relationship and something snaps in the partner, and suddenly you know they're throwing that adult worker against the wall and saying, from now on you're going to give me every penny that you make, or I'll kill you. Sometimes it's a light switch like that, but a lot of times it's this really unhealthy relationship, and people in that situation may not compute that this is my pimp or my trafficker. They just think this is my abuser.
They think I have a bad boyfriend.
Yes, I have a jerk for a boyfriend or jerk for a spouse.
So, and I think, tell me if I'm wrong about this, but what my own research on this, what's really important about this is with these Romeo pimps, this is always the plan. This is never, it's not that switch goes on and some, like they get in a fight and then all of a sudden I'm going to make you work for me. This is always the plan.
Yeah, typically. And I suppose there are some situations where it just happens. However it comes about, it's not all right. And really that thing that's really significant is that the worker is not in control of their wages. Because that means then they're not in control of what happens in their life, and they're not in control of being able to walk away if they wanted to walk away. The third face that we're starting to see more and more is what's being called a CEO pimp. This is someone who really comes at it from a business standpoint, presents themselves as a business person, has business cards, maybe talks about themselves as being an agent. So maybe, they come up to someone and say, has anyone ever told you you could be a model? I want to help you get that going. Here's my card. Let's exchange information. And then that turns into that not a modeling relationship, but pushing someone into the adult industry and taking their wages. But a piece of trafficking that we're realizing is because of the stigma around the adult community, most people in the adult community aren't talking about what they do or what their relationship is with the people in their life or in the industry. And so because of that, your neighbor isn't going to come to you and say, hey, I've been hearing this word trafficking and I want you to know I think that might be me. It happens through relationships. So even with us at the Cupcake Girls, sometimes we have clients who come in, and as they're telling their story, we have moments where we say gently, hey, did some of the things that you described are characteristics of sex trafficking? Are you aware of that? And so we're actually working on a brochure that lists out some of those characteristics. Like I mentioned, the not in control of your wages, the manipulation, the threat, the coercion, and not being given appropriate breaks for food or water, things like that, that our clients could look at and see if some of those things maybe resonate with them. Because that client who'd been trafficked for 20 years, the way the light bulb went off, she saw online that document that's basic human rights. And then she went to our website and she read the definition of domestic sex trafficking and suddenly realized that was her life. So it happens usually through a relationship and seeing some of the characteristics, or having someone else gently say, some of these characteristics sound like this situation. What do you think about that? Yeah.
So that is something that if we felt there was someone in our lives that was going through this, we could kind of say to them, I'm probably not the right person to talk to you about this, but I know someone who could talk to you about this and maybe give you some perspective on this and kind of gently ease them over to you.
Yep. Well, and one of the great things about the Cupcake Girls is we're a resource organization. So if you know of anyone who's in the adult industry, our services are open to any individual who is working or ever has worked in the adult industry in any capacity. So if you have any friends who are in that industry or have been, let them know they can reach out to us just for help with any kind of resource. And then hopefully, as their advocate has conversations with them and is figuring out who they are and where they want to go, some of these things might come up that might raise some flags if it's a trafficking situation.
And one of the things that you and I have talked about, but I don't think we've gotten to this in real depth here, is you're not trying to lean them out of that industry.
Exactly.
You're just trying to get them the help they need and let them make their own choices about what they do with their lives at that point.
Yes. So, we are not a rescue organization. We are a resources and empowerment organization.
I think that's so important. Okay, so I think we are out of time.
Okay.
So who can we help connect you with, and how can our viewers reach you?
Yes. Our website is www.thecupcakegirls.org. If you jump on there, you'll find tabs to be able to get connected as a volunteer, to donate. You'll be able to find lots of ways that you can support us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you stay right here. We're going to bring Michelle back for our panel discussion, talk a little bit more broadly about some leadership and business topics and things going on in Las Vegas. I'm Jason LeDuc. This is Geeks Are Sexy. We'll be right back with our panel discussion.
Gene Wood's racing experience, named for the racing veteran and three-time champion, packs big racing action into extremely fast, high-performance karts that let you battle the other competitors side by side, just inches off the ground. Though the Las Vegas Strip provides a glittering backdrop, to the drivers at Gene Wood's racing experience, the blinking lights are all a blur. Behind the wheel of the high-performance karts, you'll zip around the half-mile track at speeds faster than other standard racing karts' top speeds. Drivers learn to commandeer the speedy karts through an instructional video before they are let loose onto the curving track for 10 heart-pounding laps. We are located at 121 East Sunset Boulevard in Las Vegas, Nevada.
You know what? It's time to go racing. Let's get her done!
Hi, I'm Dalen Woods. Welcome to Woods Family Sandwiches. I've always had a passion for food. When I lived in England, I owned my own restaurant. Then when we moved back to the United States, an opportunity came to open a sandwich shop, and I just wanted to get back into it. We have here at Woods Family Sandwiches wraps as well as salads and soups. We offer only the finest ingredients to our customers. We have boar's head meats and cheeses. We have fresh bread, fresh produce, great soups daily that we prepare for our customers. Kosher whole pickles, Deep River Kettle One chips. We have a variety of wraps, or you can make any sub a wrap, any sub a salad. Come on in for our daily specials. We are located at 931 American Pacific, number 106, Henderson, or call us for your deliveries or pickups at 702-826-2230. Here at Woods Family Sandwiches, we're family owned and operated.
We are looking forward to seeing you.
Welcome back, everyone, to Geeks Are Sexy. It is time for our panel discussion. We've brought back Michelle Leaf and Jenny Fay. We're going to talk about some broader topics. We let them talk about their businesses and organizations. We're going to talk about a little broader topics here, as we like to do in the panel discussion, and get that perspective of, again, coming back to what does it take to be successful in Las Vegas, whether you're the city director for a nonprofit trying to help people in the sex worker industry or you're a mortgage lender. So I always try to draw themes between what the guests do. This one was very challenging. However, I think I was able to do it. You're both in the business of helping people make big changes in their lives, just in different ways. Just stick with me on this question, okay? The people you're helping don't always want help or aren't willing to listen. How do you approach helping people when they aren't always thinking about acting in their own best interest? Because that's something I run into all the time. I ran into it in the Air Force. Human beings are emotional. They make a lot of decisions based on emotion. They don't always act in their own best interests. Jenny, how do you do that with Cupcake Girls? How do you help people who aren't always interested in acting in their own best interest for whatever reason?
One of the things that we try to do, like I mentioned earlier, is we try to ask good questions, because we really feel like if we can ask questions, that can help us understand where this person is coming from, but sometimes that gives them the opportunity to have an aha of what about what they really want, where they really want to go, and then we can start heading there. But also we realize, especially for our clients, a lot of our clients have experienced trauma. When extreme trauma happens to someone, that flight, fight, or freeze part of the brain gets overdeveloped, and the long-term thriving part of the brain gets underdeveloped. So they're just thinking about surviving. They're not thinking about thriving. So also what it takes is for us to sit well with people, recognizing that they may not be ready to do something with this information right now. They may not be ready to make a healthy choice right now. We're still going to be there. We're still going to sit well with them and know where they want to go, keep asking the questions, keep letting them know that we're here, but ultimately it's up to them.
And you guys are in a position where you can be patient.
Yeah.
You can be patient. You can let people figure it out for themselves. Michelle, in your business, there are deadlines, there are closings, there are people want their money when they want it. How do you work with some of your clients? How do you help nudge them in the direction of what's in their best interest versus the short-term choice that might make them feel good today?
Same thing. We ask questions, and sometimes throughout the buying process, borrowers experience buyer's remorse, or they get nervous, or can I make these mortgage payments even though we fully qualified them? So again, I try to direct them back to what their goals were. What are your goals? What are you looking for? What are you trying to achieve? And I try to narrow it back down. I had this experience recently. Borrower wanted a bigger house, needed more space, and then when
or less stuff.
Or less stuff, exactly. But he wanted to keep his stuff, so he kind of got nervous about the new mortgage payment, because it's a bigger house, a bigger mortgage than what he was used to. So again, I asked him, do you really like this house? Because I really want them to be comfortable. And he's like, I love this house. I'm like, do you think you're going to find it later on if you wait a little bit? He's like, no. Do you think you'll have the same terms or the same purchase price? He's like, no. So he sort of made peace with it. And he could see that the benefits outweighed the fear, So I kind of, coach them as to, what are your goals? And this is a way to do it, or you can procrastinate. It's kind of up to you. But above all, I want them to be comfortable, because this is a choice that they make. It's not an absolute need.
Yeah, and that brings you to a question that we didn't really talk about, is what do you do when someone's goals far exceed their capacity at this point, i.e. I've got champagne taste on a light beer budget for a new home buyer, or for a home buyer in general?
Basically, again, same thing. I ask them questions, and I tell them these are the numbers, and then I also give them real life experience. If you wanted this house that costs X amount of dollars, this is what your mortgage payment would be. Are you comfortable with that?
Right, well, and what are you paying now, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Is there going to be a payment
This is
shock?
$400 a month more than what you're paying now for your mortgage or what you're paying now for your rent. Are you okay with that?
Exactly. And most times when they want to buy, that payment is more than $400. Sometimes it's double.
Oh, certainly.
And I ask them, are you comfortable?
But the rain is not. Now we're back.
Okay. I guess we were gone, and I guess we're back. So we were talking about, just summarizing real quick, when you've got someone whose goals exceeds their capacity, you kind of just show them how much that is, and then you kind of say, is this the, I'm not trying to lean you one way or the other. I'm just asking you if this is the choice you want to make.
Exactly. And questions are a lot, and sometimes they'll come to their, own conclusions if they're open to being coached. I like to say being coached because I don't want to tell people what to do, but I want to coach them into making good decisions, and I give them options, based on this is what you can qualify now, this is what what you would like. The two won't meet.
And again, going back to our themes of helping people change their lives, we don't want to put them in that house with that higher payment and then have them lose that house in a year, right?
And that's what I also tell them. I tell them, we want you to be a successful homeowner, not one with big dreams and then reality sets in and then they can't make their payments or they're nervous or whatever. Do they want to change their lifestyle so much? Whatever. So our main goal, part of the whole qualifying process, is to make sure that they are successful homeowners.
Awesome. So we talk a lot about challenges here, how to overcome challenges, how to face challenges. What's a challenge that you faced that kind of wouldn't go away? And it may still be a challenge, but how do you tackle that, or how did you tackle that?
So for us at the Cupcake Girls, one of the challenges that I think we constantly face is the challenge of resources that we have versus what we want to be able to do.
Just talk about.
Yes, there's a difference sometimes. And for us, our resources are our three main drivers to be able to care for our clients, and that's our volunteers, our partners, and our donors. And so one of the things that we've realized is it's not necessarily up to us to just get frustrated about where we are, but it's time for us to look and to say, what do we need and how do we get out there and do it? And then we talk with our current team and activate them and say, who do you know who can help with this? Who do you know who can help with that? Just today, we realized that we've had some clients who need some help with their car, like mechanic stuff. It's really expensive. We've already had some clients get severely taken advantage of when they go to a shop. So we just put it out there to our volunteers and said, hey, would you be willing to just ask your mechanic if they'd be interested in partnering with us? So we try to really link into the relationships that we already have and leverage those to move forward our mission to help our clients.
And then you're going to have the exact same conversation next month, right? Or next week? Or
Yep, only it won't be about a mechanic, it'll be about a dentist, or it'll be about whatever. And that's okay, just coming to grips with that tension of we're always going to be striving for the next thing, but life would be kind of boring if you weren't always going after.
It's okay to be pushing that rock up the hill constantly, as long as you know this is the choice I'm making.
Yes.
This is it'll be a different rock next week.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
What about you? What's a challenge that you have faced multiple times or continued to face, and how did you tackle it?
Well, in my business, every loan, every transaction is different. We may have our lending guidelines, and that kind of keeps us consistent, but each borrower is different. So every loan is a challenge. Every loan, there's going to be an obstacle to get over, or the level of their experience, the borrower's experience, is going to be different. So sometimes I spend a lot of time on meeting with them, on the phone with them, sharing with them what is happening. And other borrowers, they know. So each loan I tackle it as it's the first one I've ever done, because it is for them. It's maybe the first time we've ever worked together. So it's all about providing what that customer or that borrower needs. And also our customers are also our realtors. Same thing. Some realtors are real hands-on. Some realtors want to let you take over and complete the transaction and let me know when we go to closing. So it all depends on what, so it's being custom and working with that individual.
I think that's so great, and I was having a conversation with a client about being customer focused a couple of weeks ago, and I think that idea of looking at every single one of these loans, or every single interaction you have with someone being like the first time, that makes it, we're always, when we deal with something for the first time, we're kind of listening and we're looking and we're trying to understand, hopefully, and not everybody, but it's fresh, and so we need to treat it as that. We're a little more open, we're a little more cautious, and trying to maintain that will help us keep our customer focused and remember who we're really looking out for and what we're trying to do. I think that's so great. I'm going to try to incorporate some of that into my conversations of let's approach this as if this was the first time you were ever doing this. So, well, you guys both have teams around you. You have to have a team to be successful. Very few people can get to where they're at and really be successful all by themselves, although it does happen. What have you done to build a team around you? What have you learned by building a team around you?
So I've learned a lot about the power of relationship. So when I am building a team, I think about what do I need on my team? What are the specific things that I need, whether it's tasks that I need accomplished or things that I need to be thought about. And then I start with my own life and I think, who do I know who does this and that I like who does this? Because when I'm building a team, I want people around me that I really like and that like each other. I want us to like hanging out even beyond just the task that we're doing. And I feel like if I can get people that I like who can do the things that I need done, then I just drop them into that spot where their skills match up, their gifts and their abilities and their desires match up. They're going to kill it. We're going to have fun together. And that's what we've seen with our team with Cupcake Girls. That's
really great. I did get the sense when I came to visit you guys a few months ago that it is a very fun and warm environment. I think that's really important for what it is you're trying to do. If it's sterile and clinical and bureaucratic, you're probably going to have a hard time helping the people you're looking to help.
We want people to feel welcome.
So, and you do. I felt very well. I mean, I was the only one there that day, but I did feel very welcome. It was very warm when I went. So if you're thinking about going to see them, I felt very welcome and warm just coming in to sit down and talk about what they do. So how about you, Michelle? Tell us about the team you have around you and what you've learned.
I'm really fortunate because Planet has provided me with a team. So I didn't have to go out and search. They've done the search for me, and they have provided me with amazing people who are highly skilled at what they do, and they know what their roles are. And so as I go out and meet people and build relationships out in the community, I know that the work behind the scenes is getting done. The loans are getting done. Customers are being taken care of. They're being contacted on a regular basis, and we're going to meet our deadlines. So that's the best part, and I learned that you really have to listen to your team, and I tend to be a type A personality, so what's really hard is asking for help of your team, and then you'll know whether they know it or they don't. And if they don't, that's fine, because then you know, okay, this is something we need to work on, or let's get creative here. And so it's working together and asking for help and finding our weaknesses and strengths, and really, and above all though, I can't do my job without my team.
Absolutely.
I just cannot do it.
Absolutely.
And
that's the, there are pros and cons to building your own team and pros and cons to having a team handed to you. And I did both in the Air Force. I've done both with this business. But when you have a team handed to you, a lot of times you get people who are real pros at what they do, but they've got their own way of thinking about things, their own way of viewing the world. And if you're trying to view every loan you do as the first time you do it, you might have to enroll them in that vision a little bit. But guys, let's think about this as the first time we're doing it. And so sometimes that comes with some inertia when you're working with a team of pros who've been doing something for a long time.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Michelle, Jenny. We're just about out of time, but Jenny, tell everyone where they can reach the Cupcake Girls.
So we can be found at www.thecupcakegirls.org. You can find out information how you can donate, how you can get involved, how you can become a volunteer. I would love to hear from you. Love to talk with you more about how you can be part of our team.
Yeah, you guys have no shortage of space for people to come and volunteer. And even if you are looking to just kind of affiliate volunteer, like if you're a mechanic, or I think you said you were looking for dentists the last time we talked. Anybody else? Any
Counselors, doctors, anyone who has a service.
tax help, right?
Tax help, budget coaches, HR coaches, things like that.
I have some people for you.
Perfect.
So, and Michelle, how can everybody reach you when they are looking to buy that home in 2019?
They can reach me at directly at 702-767-8174. They can shoot me an email at mleaf@planethomelending.com.
And we'll have all that up in the show notes so they won't have to try to remember it or write it down or spell it in their browser while they're listening. So thank you for being here today with Jenny and Michelle and myself. Last Thursday of December, I don't know what the day is. I look it up, you'll figure it out. Join us again. I don't know who the guest will be. We'll have somebody just as great as these two guests here, and we will see you in about a month. I'm Jason LeDuc from Evil Genius Leadership Consultants. This is Geeks Are Sexy. The future is out there. Lead the way.
Gene Woods Racing Experience, named for the racing veteran and 3-time champion, packs big racing action into extremely fast, high-performance karts that let you battle the other competitors side by side, just inches off the ground. Though the Las Vegas Strip provides a glittering backdrop, to the drivers at Gene Woods Racing Experience, the blinking lights are all a blur. Behind the wheel of the high-performance karts, you'll zip around the half-mile track at speeds faster than other standard racing karts' top speeds. Drivers learn to commandeer the speedy karts through an